I feel like every time I've been gone to the Philippines for an extended period of time, I always feel like I experience something called reverse culture shock. Even me, when I come back to my own home country, the USA, I can sometimes experience reverse culture shock. Wow, everyone speaks English here, like so fluently and loudly. And what is up, YouTube? Hey, Kevin here. I am back in the States, woo! Which is kind of bittersweet. I'm here and I need to be here, and for the most part, I want to be here. But you guys know me if you've been watching my channel. Where is my heart? Where do I want to be if I had my choice? Of course, back in the Philippines. So anyway, it's a little bit bittersweet. It's good to be back. I'm in Savannah, Georgia, in the South, the good old South. And I'm here for work. You know, that's why I'm here. I gotta come back every now and then and rustle up some work and save up some money so that I can afford to return to the Philippines, return to my girlfriend Angie and all of our friends and Higgy, our cat, and it's just something that I got to do. So here I am. I had some fun stopping over in Narita on the way back to the States, and if you haven't seen those videos yet, there's like two of them. Well, two or three of them if you count the... no, there's four if you count the ones about the... I did a video about karaoke, and I did a video about... it was like manners and cultural sensitivity when you're visiting another country, that kind of thing. So that was fun. It was a lot of fun to make, and the only downside to my Narita visit was it was drizzling, raining almost the whole time I was there. And it was just enough of a drizzle that it didn't stop you from really enjoying going outside. And I walked everywhere. Anyway, that was a lot of fun. Those videos are up on my channel, and I know I went way off script somewhat because the channel's called Kevin's Philippine Adventures, and you know, what am I doing in Japan? What am I doing in Narita? So I have a feeling that the algorithm probably hates me because I've been excuse me, I've been trying to train it. I've been trying to train the algorithm and, you know, let it figure out what my channel is about and what I talk about, and then, you know, going from the Philippines to Japan, it just seems like counterintuitive. But anyway, I had fun, and I hope you guys had fun if you watched those videos. But anyway, now that I've returned to the US, first of all, I feel like every time I've been gone to the Philippines for an extended period of time, like several months, I always feel like I experience something called reverse culture shock. And if you know what basic culture shock is, it's when you're visiting a new country, a new place, and the customs and the way of life there, the culture, are different from yours, sometimes extremely different, and you kind of get shocked because you're used to things the way they are in your home country, and they're different in different countries. So anyway, obviously I've had plenty of time to understand and learn about Filipino culture, and it's not that big of a deal to me to go to the Philippines. But even me, when I come back to my own home country, the USA, I can sometimes experience reverse culture shock. And so that's what I was going to talk about in this video, is just some of the things that you can experience when you go back to your home country. Wow, we got some loud cars out today. Welcome to Savannah, Georgia. You got loud cars in the Philippines, and you got loud cars in the States. It doesn't matter where you go, right? Okay, so point number one is basically just that sometimes I can feel like a foreigner in my own home country. And it's mostly, this feeling happens like when I've just come back to the US and I'm kind of like, again, in a state of shock. And it's silly little things, but it's stuff like, wow, everyone speaks English here, like, or primarily English, like so fluently and loudly and and directly. They're just like, you know, like I'm on the airplane and I'm sitting in an aisle, and I just happen to have an empty seat next to me, and the American stewardess, you know, comes right up to me and is like, "Oh, you got the whole aisle to yourself, hon, don't you? Isn't that wonderful?" And I'm like, "Ah!" Like, why are you yelling at me? And that's because I just am not used to the direct kind of communication style, if you will, that is, it can be American. I'm used to that softer sort of, hello, sir. Oh, yes po. Okay. Pwede sir mag, that kind of like very soft spoken, those kinds of flight stewardesses in that example as a contrast. And it just like, it's a shock. And another thing is that I always forget how many Tagalog words and phrases that I'm used to using when I'm in the Philippines, and I sprinkle them in. Sometimes, Angie and I, our like default way of talking is what I would call Taglish, where it's a mixture of English and Tagalog. And sometimes it's little things, like little words and phrases like I love sana all, which is I wish it could be everything, or I wish I could be for everyone. Sana, like I wish, and then all is like the English word all. So perfect example of a Taglish word, sana all. Yeah, and so it's things like that. And so when you get back into your home country, suddenly those little Taglish phrases and words are gone. No one's using them. But I'm still thinking them up here, right? So, okay, another one is the pace of life is just faster here. And, you can probably say, yeah, well, duh, like, you're living in the islands, it's island time or Filipino time. How can you, compare, American way of life to that of the Philippines? But it's still a shock when I come back, is how efficient and fast and quick and go everybody is, and less more slower paced and more like chill like it is in the Philippines. So I noticed that, and it's a little bit jarring, a little bit shocking. Filipinos are a little bit more relaxed, slower paced. Americans sometimes can just say go. And I will say though, in the South, I'm here in Savannah, it is a little bit more chill. Actually, it's a geography thing, isn't it, guys? It's like, yeah, New York City compared to the Philippines is completely different than, little Savannah, Georgia compared to the Philippines. Anyway, these are little things that I'm noticing. Okay. Yeah, I kind of touched on this already, but the communication style is different. Americans tend to be more direct, more blunt, more kind of like in your face about stuff, and they can be polite, but they're still just like very direct, whereas Filipinos are much more indirect, a little bit more softer in their approach. And then this next one is kind of low-hanging fruit, and I'm going to make a whole other video all about this topic because I'm really excited about it, but it's the cost of living differences. What more of a culture shock do you need to describe than how things cost in the Philippines versus your home country? And what'll surprise you is that there are many things that are cheaper in the Philippines, and that's what you probably think I'm going to talk about most, is like, oh, everything's so much less expensive in the Philippines. Kevin's just going to riff on that and talk about how great it is in the Philippines. But there are some things that are more expensive in the Philippines, and I'm reminded of that when I come back. So anyway, I'll be talking about cost comparisons and things like that in the next video I do this week. I'm putting this video out on a Tuesday. The cost comparisons video is going to be the very next video I do on Friday. So anyway, be on the lookout for that. But yeah, things cost differently here. And again, that could be another culture shock moment, is when you come back and you go, whoa. And honestly, just really quick, I'll save this for the other video, but the best remedy for that shock, in my opinion, is immediately just stop translating Philippine pesos into your home currency. Just don't do that anymore, because when you get that meal at a restaurant, or you pay for that goods or services, if you try to translate your currency into pesos and they go, oh my god, that costs so much, you're gonna get frazzled in your mind. Your mind is just gonna get frazzled. So the best thing to do is just adjust back into your home country life, and don't try to compare prices here to prices there, because you'll just go crazy, right? So, okay, what's another one? Social behavior and friendliness. I kind of touched on this a while ago, but it's the differences between Filipinos being a lot more warm and friendly versus, in my case, Americans being a little bit more cold. Like Filipinos will often greet you and say hello and talk to you easily. And here in the States, people are a little bit more individualistic. They're not so much like group oriented or family oriented. They're more like just like everybody's doing their own thing. You know, I mean, look at the way people drive. Like most of the time when you look around in cars around you, they all have single drivers, you know, very individualistic in their thinking. And that's just another small culture shock that I have to get used to. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. You know, people aren't quite as friendly. Now again, I want to say here in the South, in America, especially the Southeast, there is more of a warmth. Again, right, I'm not comparing the Philippines to New York City where you say, excuse me, do you know the way to blah, blah, blah? And they give you a middle finger. No offense, New Yorkers. But you know what I mean? Like, there is a difference in the social behavior and the friendliness. You know, small talk. Maybe people are less likely to make small talk here than they would be in the Philippines, where Filipinos will ask you the most famous question of all, which is "Saan ka galing?" Where are you coming from? It's not just, hey, how are you? It's, oh, where did you come from? You know, what it's almost like they want to know your story immediately as soon as they see you. Whereas in the States, it's more just like it's up, if you get it at all. I'm purposely driving on this section of road here because I'm supposed to be traveling kind of an eastward direction, and I was hoping to catch some of the sunset behind me. But anyway, we'll see how that works. All right, another one is food culture differences. Oh man, yeah. Talk about a culture shock. Going from meals that almost always have rice with them as at least one dish on the table to, you know, not having rice as your standard side with food. And I know, I mean, I've lived in America many years, and at this point in my life, more years in the States than I have in the Philippines, but it's still sometimes a shock when I come back. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. They're not going to be having, you know, all these different Filipino foods that I'm used to everywhere I go. They're going to be more American. So anyway, it's just something that I have to get used to. And for most Americans, I think bread is the kind of their version of a rice. I remember trying to explain that to Angie, my girlfriend, once. I'm like, yeah, you know, you Filipinos almost always have rice with every meal. Americans are big into bread. Like, we like bread at our table and sandwiches, and you know, that's like our big carb that we like to have. So that's just something different. Another one is the large portion sizes, like specifically when you go to restaurants and stuff. The portion sizes here in the U.S. are usually way bigger than they are in the Philippines because Americans eat more, and a lot of Americans are bigger because of that. I don't want to get into too much trouble and slam all of our heavier Americans, but they're out there. Anyway, the other one is a lot more processed foods here in the U.S. compared to the Philippines. You know, it's just like, oh yeah, that's right, we got all our little packaged foods. And I know you're probably saying the Filipinos have that too, and the Filipinos have foods that are also not necessarily good for you with all their fried foods and stuff, but there is a lot of unhealthy food available in the U.S., and there's a lot of unhealthy fast food available. So it's very easy to just puff up with, you know, junk that you can eat in the States, and it's a little bit of a culture shock. I always have to remind myself, like, oh yeah, I can't just, you know, go to any place I want and eat anything I want. I have to be a little bit more careful. All right, noise and the ambient sounds around you in the Philippines versus the U.S. It's like, man, that is a culture shock reversed, and that is, I'm back at my house in Savannah, and I close the front door and I sit down inside, and I don't hear anything except the hum of air conditioning. There's no more dogs barking. There's no more karaoke. There's no more chickens. There's no more, I don't know, horns honking and just noise. There's always so much life and noise. And believe it or not, it's something that I miss sometimes. You know, a lot of foreigners complain about noise in the Philippines, but I kind of get used to it after a while. And to me, that's the sound of life there. It's the sound of the Philippines, and it wouldn't be the same without it. You know, the loud mufflers and things like that. And now, if it keeps me from sleeping, if it prevents my being able to get a good night's rest, then I get upset. But if it's just something that's sort of like background noise, hey, that's the Philippines, you know, I've gotten used to it. And then when I return to the States and those sounds disappear, I am suddenly kind of like in reverse culture shock, like, man, it's quiet. You know, the loudest things you typically hear in a neighborhood like mine here in Savannah is someone mowing their lawn or using a weed whacker, or maybe an occasional car honk or something. And that's it. You know, I mean, I might have one or two neighbors that occasionally will play some music on a Friday or Saturday night, but otherwise it's quiet. And people like it that way. And if you're a Filipino and you're watching this video, you may not even know this, but in certain places in the States, in certain neighborhoods, if you make too much noise, like let's say you start blasting loud music at the middle of the night or 3 o'clock in the morning, they'll call the police. they will call the police and be like, yo, this guy is like making way too much noise and we can't sleep. And you could be issued a citation, a ticket for not obeying, I guess, like noise ordinances. Anyway, so it's a whole different world, and it's one that I have to get used to. A couple more. What else did I have here? I had, weather and nature. Adjusting back to cooler temps. You know, like I'm uploading this video now after taking a little bit of a break because I actually returned in April, and I had all these videos stacked up ready to in a queue ready to be published, and so I just kind of let those all publish themselves, and I'm getting caught up again. So now here we are, it's almost June, and the weather's gotten a little bit warmer. It's actually very similar to summers in Savannah are similar to weather in the Philippines, which is kind of nice. But when I returned to the States, it was April, and it was still a little bit chilly. You know, I had a chilly visit to Narita, Japan. If you see those videos, I'm wearing my heavy jacket, heavy coat, and I also experienced cool temperatures and air and dry air when I got back to Savannah. And so that's another thing that can be considered a culture shock, is you're not used to that weather change, and it can be more extreme depending on where you live and how big of a temperature swing or humidity swing you're making when you're traveling. So, you know, Philippines has basically this is a joke. Philippines has two seasons. It has hot season and hotter season. No, I'm kidding. It has some slight change in weather and especially rains. You know, there's drier, hotter months, and there's wet and rainy seasons, monsoon seasons. But it doesn't have winters. It doesn't have, you know, snow and stuff like that for the most part. There's places in the Philippines you can go to experience like really cold temperatures up in the way up high in the mountains, and you can see things like frozen dew and ice that almost looks like snow on the plants and stuff. So, but you know what I mean? In general, most of the people watching this video, most of my viewers are in the tropical sea level areas thereabouts, and that can be the shock, the culture shock. That's about it. I mean, I had a couple more things on here, but it was basically just talking through some of the culture shocks. Leave a comment below if you've watched the video up to this point. Thank you so much. Like it, of course, and leave a comment below of a culture shock, a reverse culture shock that maybe you've experienced when you've traveled from your country, maybe your home country, to another country and then back again. And again, I think they're more dramatic the longer you're away, because you kind of forget what life is like in your home country. But if I didn't mention one that was a good one, leave a comment below. I'd love to read your thoughts on reverse culture shock. All right, guys, I think that's going to do it for this video. I'm excited to be back in the good old USA. Obviously, I hope to return to the Philippines soon. I'm hoping this visit will just be a couple months, and then I'll be able to go back, but we'll see. So for now, I'm just going to keep posting from mostly the Savannah area, and it'll be fun. I've got a lot of good videos scheduled, including the next one, which is the cost comparisons video. And you know what? Why not, just for the heck of it? If you're watching up to this point, it means you really like the videos. So I'll give you a little hint, which is it all started with a box of sushi at the grocery store. That's what started my curiosity. I was like, this has got to be cheaper in the Philippines. Anyway, leave a comment below as I asked. Hit the like button. Thank you for watching. And I'm going to leave it there, guys, and say mabuhay. All right, bye, and we'll see you on the next video. Okay.